Oh, there it goes. Cool. All right. So this is week 6, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's week 6. Really knocked out all those details. We did not. That's what we're doing today. So I just I finished up all the hard surface stuff from last week. All the stuff that I need to do in Maya. And now that I have all of that, we can move back into ZBrush and just start, actually like adding in all the details and stuff like that. You'll see that all the straps and wraps and stuff, they're all really low poly. The belts have no details on them whatsoever. A lot of the times I won't add details on belts or anything like that. Pouches, definitely I will. But obviously on the armor, I'll add some like damage and wear to it. We have to do some like a lot of refinement on the face and anatomy and things like that. I still hate the face. I'm not happy with it. I'm not going to cover everything, but I'm going to go over a few of the pieces so that you get kind of an idea of like, now that you have your kind of like finalized parts, what you need to do with them. Buckles and wraps, yes, yeah, I have all the hard surface stuff in there. And you'll notice like before I had the cape up a little bit higher. I made this comment to Ike as well on his model. So you want to have this as straight as possible. Even now it has like a little bit of a curve in there. That kind of stuff is really hard to get out when you're rigging. Or more so when you're animating. Like the rig just will not get rid of that little indentation no matter what you do. So you want it as straight as possible. That's why I ended up lowering the cape a bit. Even if it penetrates objects, I don't care. Penetrates the shoulder pad, don't really care. Because once you rig it, you can kind of pose it, however, right? But you need it straight for rigging. Thank you, Solid Park. All right, so where do we want to start today? I think a fun thing to start on would probably be the wraps, because that's going to make the biggest difference. We're going to do that. I can't recall if I creased this. I did not. I did not crease it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to crease and then crease it based off of angle. I'm going to increase the I'm going to pull this up a bit. There. So basically, the higher this is, the higher the angle break needs to be before it adds a crease, right? And I don't want the big thing is I just don't want to add creases where they don't belong. I have some messed up topology here. There's an extra little strap in there that I didn't realize. We'll get rid of that. Come on, buddy. We'll get rid of it. We got it. All right. I don't know how that got in there. Visibility, throw all. Okay. Cool. Awesome. All right. I'll just make sure that it doesn't exist anywhere else either. Looks good to me. Do a quick auto groups. There we go. These had the same poly group and I just want to separate them. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. And what I'm also going to do is trim down the crease level to about 1. That way it holds the shape, but it's not super hard crease. I can see that there might be a crease here. Yep. So we're just gonna fix it up with Z Modeler. Crease, edge loop partial. If we hit Alt, we'll undo that. Also here does not have, oops. This one does not have a crease. We're gonna add a crease. There we go. Cool. And that looks all right. That looks good. Let's do that. Pretty good. That's right. What kind of program do you use to create 3D models? So I use a series of programs, and I've been doing, actually if you want to watch the VODs, this is part of a workshop that we're doing in order to go over the whole process. So far we've been using ZBrush and Maya. We'll be touching upon some other software including 3D Coat, UV Layout, Substance, and Photoshop. Okay. So now that I have this able to be subdivided, I can kind of get it to a general position where it's not, you know, clipping the arm. You fantastic beast, and where to find you. How are you doing today? Doing all right. Just you know, just chipping away. We're moving on to the refinement process on this model, trying to get some nicer details in there. You know, making things look pretty decent. How are you, Fred? I saw your Monster Girl post. The bag on the head really reminded me of Faust from Guilty Gear. I'm gonna hide that pauldron for a second. There we go. Clipping away my Cthulhu. Oh, Cthulhu. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is she for your game? Yeah, Faust. She actually might be. That'd be cool. Okay, I need to isolate select that. There we go. I like to kind of make sure that nothing's clipping the arm before I start sculpting on it, you know? There we go. And it's much easier to do that at this low res level than it is to do when once you've subdivided it. People seem to like her, yeah. But people like all your work. Your work's amazing. You're saying that because it's close to my B-Day? I would say that at any time of the year, my dude. Your work is great. It's fantastic. Happy early birthday. Oh, it's true. I'm realizing I don't have a crease on that edge either. We'll just add that in. Oop, there we go. I'm gonna hide that cloak. Happy to be birthday. That's right. All right. Okay, so there we go. I love this character so much. I'm gonna dress up for cosplay. I'd love to see that. All right. Let's buy some tights and cut lots of holes in it. All right. Oh, there's a little more issue here. Ready to see Rod's exposed hips. I'm gonna get the tail and arm steroids? I don't know. Yeah, steroids. All right. So I think everything's in place now. Nope, nope, nope. There's always something more. There's always more. But wait, there's more. Not one, but two. More. That's right. That's right, more. Okay. Now what we do is we store morph target and divide the hell out of it. Okay. So now that we have the them in a general position that's fairly nice. I missed the spot again. We can go in and start sculpting some details. I also want to make sure that dynamic is off now. Make sure backface masking is on. And we can start just adding some folds and creases to this. I want to make sure also that I select only one at a time because the clay buildup brush is going to start trying to sculpt on the wraps that are underneath. I might lower the subdivision one just so that it's easier to smooth out. And we'll add little cuts and dings and stuff. I like to, on wraps especially, I like to add a little bit of inflation on the edges too. Kind of makes it feel a little bit more bunched up. Morph target. That's right. That's right. More F target. Yeah. And I'll say that this part here is probably my favorite part of the modeling process. Because well, either this or either this or maybe the initial sculpt, but the initial sculpt it's always comes with like a little bit of stress because you're like, oh man, will I be able to make something that looks decent? Here you're just like, okay, I have something in place. It's looking okay. It's worth bringing to kind of a more detailed pass, and you're just kind of going in there and adding the detail, right? And trying to make it look the best it can be. There's less questions, right? It's more like you're executing. You know what you need. And you can kind of just vibe at it. Usually at this point, this is like there's some points in the process where I'm less likely to have music. because like you have to be thinking. But this part, I could just have like music blasting. It's just like you're just vibing, you're going, getting things done. That's right. Cool cat vibing. I'm gonna add little cuts in there, make it a little bit more interesting, right? Gotta be careful not to add too many because then it gets busy. But I definitely want to add a few. Kind of break up the edge a little bit. Make sure it feels nice and sharp. Yeah, kind of like that, you know? I will say today there probably won't be a lot for me to talk about. I will talk about as much as I can as I go, but really, it's just a matter of kind of like adding in the details. You know your major shapes, and now you're going up to the next level, right? That will also mean that we don't have to do like a freaking 4-hour stream like last time. 5 hour. I don't know. It was long. The last one was very long. But we won't have to do that necessarily today because today we're just kind of having at it. Mm-hmm. As you're doing this, make sure you kind of zoom out and have a look around, right? You want to make sure that things look good in context as well, right? So something might look good really close up, but it looks terrible when you zoom out. So, you know, be wary. Be wary, be prepared. It's a similar idea to flipping your canvas and stuff like that too, right? Flipping canvas gives me a heart attack. The trick to that is flipping very early, right? So if you flip your canvas early and often, it'll be fine. What I tend to do, this is a bit of a tangent, but I don't really have much to talk about for this particular sculpting process, so I'll talk about drawing. If I'm doing a drawing, every time I do a refinement pass, I do the refinement pass flipped of the previous pass. So you know, like when you do a sketch, then you draw over to do like a more refined drawing, and then a more refined drawing. You just keep doing that until you have, you know, a nice sketch. I flip the canvas each time and draw it from the opposite perspective. And then you end up with something fairly balanced at the end. Also, I don't know if I said how you're doing, but hope things are well, Hawk. I don't like that. And that'll also mean we'll probably have more time to kind of go over people's work at the end of the stream too, if anyone wants feedback. But I think everyone's kind of found their way at this point. A feedback stream, yeah. Yeah, so I'm thinking we'll go through these wraps, and then after that, you know, there's some cloth here. I kind of want to work on that. Maybe we'll do some face refinement, and have a look at that. Work on the boots. The boots are a big one. The boots would be fun. Actually, let's do the boots after this. Definitely see interested in seeing progress. Yeah, everyone's doing really cool work. I'm incredibly impressed by everyone. Just to make sure, you guys can't hear the music, right? It's I should have asked this earlier. It's just my voice, right? Good. Okay, yeah. Just your soothing voice, yeah. I have music playing for myself, but I don't want it to be on the VOD because this is going on YouTube, and it'll get muted. Can't hear anything but you and my conspiracy thoughts and why pie is round and not squared. That's a good. I mean, you could have a square pie. You could have a square pie. Just harder to divide it. Because imagine like you cut a square pie, and then you have the middle piece, but there's no crust to support the pie. It just falls apart. Hey Ike, welcome in. No music? Good, good. I want pie right now, but I'm fasting. Oh. Oh. Well, hopefully it's a fast. Sorry, I brought up pie. Too late. Pie has been encountered. Discussed. Fasting fast is the fastest way to fast. Fastest fast way fast to fast. Oh yeah. Jeez, that's a tongue twister and a half. Probably shouldn't be. I should be able to say that, but you know. There you go. Just another 2 hours? Okay, that's not too bad. You know, if I'm hungry and can't eat for a while, I'll usually just play a video game. That'll make the time go by real quick. I feel super slow when I'm drawing, yeah. Video games or sleep, yeah. I don't have to pay for food if I go to bed. That freaking meme. You know what's funny? There was an ancient civilization that survived starvation by playing games. Really? Interesting. I wouldn't have expected it to actually make it so that you don't need food. It's just a distraction. But I guess it would just mean that they would have an easier time rationing the food. Did they invent Sony trophies? They must have. They founded Sony. There was a famine. They were able to survive easier because of games. Yeah, I guess it would have been that they were able to ration it easier because they didn't, like, they weren't desperate for food all the time. They had the distraction. They'd still need just as much food as anyone else, but I guess because they're smarter about it because they're not like letting their stomachs get ahead of themselves or something. Right? So they don't eat when they don't need it. But does you burn when you're active? Well, it's not necessarily that they were playing active games, right? You can I'm sure that board games and stuff were a thing. Like dice games, right? They were dice games, yeah. Even if your mind is active, you burn calories. But your mind is always active. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Fun fact, if you do more mind activities, you need more sweets. Interesting. Do I make the bandages with snap-on? No. What I did was I masked out strips on the arm and extracted them, and then used Z-remesh. Right? Yeah, it works. Knots and crosses burns my calories. What do you mean? Interesting. I might have to do that instead. Try to use curved snap strap brush. Oh man, no. The insert curve brushes are fantastic, but creating specific loops around an object are just doesn't like it too much. Is that why people eat ice cream after an unhealthy relationship? Mind games. Maybe. We call them knots and crosses over here. Oh, tic-tac-toe. That makes a lot more sense. I'm like, what the hell is knots and crosses? Either that or try panel loops. Yeah, you could try something like that. There's 100 ways to do everything. There's definitely other ways to do this. I'm under no delusions. But you just got to find what works for you and do it, I'm gonna have to go in and refine this hand at some point. It's still lower res, right? I gotta go in and add more detail. We can probably touch up on that today as well. Just on some of the body. Good hand job. Filthy. You're filthy. It's a nice hand you did there. Kappa. Kappa times 2. So I am noticing, like, again, like I said, you kind of want to look at things in context, and I'm noticing I put like all the, like, the little cuts and stuff on the bandages on the top. The bottom has nothing, right? So now that I know this, like, I can go in there and make sure that it exists in some areas to kind of break up those lines, right? That the whole point of adding these is it's just so that those lines don't feel so redundant, right? Now I'm trying to make this as believable as possible because we're obviously it's a bunch of individual strands, whereas a real wrap would be like a single strand that's just twisted around and around forever. So I want to make it feel like that, even though it's really not, right? Just kind of again make it believable. But by breaking up those straight lines, I feel like that helps a lot. Same, we're gonna add another one here. I might add like little holes and stuff in there too, right? So if I want to add a hole, I could just kind of like punch it into the arm. I'm not sure how I feel about that yet, but we can try it, right? Worst case, you just smooth it back out, not a big deal. So this is a point to make too. Like something like this, you might not be able to get away with on all types of characters. For instance, if you're going for something more realistic, it's very highly likely that you're going to want to avoid, or you're going to want to keep the skin and the clothing on separate geo, because you want to have proper skin shading. You could also maybe get away with that with masks and stuff like that, but usually you're going to want to keep them completely separate. However, on a stylized character, I feel like you can get away with it a little bit more, having them share. So that's what we're going to do. And if you want me to like explain any part of the process too while I'm doing this, just let me know. This is a good time to kind of ask stuff because it's kind of you know, it's a bit redundant work, right? So it can even be like about a different part of the process, and I'll just talk about it. Mouth bags. So mouth bags. We did cover that a few weeks ago, and I will actually be going back to that. You know, I could maybe touch up on that this stream as well. I don't mind them, but I've been approaching them in different ways in the last little while. I usually open up the mouth like right away, and I do that stuff. But I kind of want to. I like to keep the mouth on the character closed as long as possible because it's very hard to judge the face when the mouth is just kind of like gaping open and they're kind of like deadpan faced, right? Because you don't really know if they look appealing or whatnot. But I did get the mouth bag in there really early still, because the problem is once you add the mouth bag, it's very destructive, so you're probably gonna have to rework the mouth anyway. So I want to make sure that there's actually a pocket there before I start refining any of the facial features. I have detail I want to retain, but I need a mouth bag. Did you watch? Were you here last week or the week before? It was the week before. Yeah, so 2 weeks ago. We went through the process of adding the mouth bag on this character and retains the face. But I will be going back and looking at the face in a minute. I think that'll be our path today. We'll do a little bit more on these wraps, touch up on the boots maybe, and then have a look at the face. I was tired, so I slept. I think I'll check it out. Cool. It's the anatomy refinement VOD, where we went in and we added the mouth bag. I could explain it verbally, but I don't think I think that video would help you way more. Bonsoir, mon ami. Comment ça va? Comment ça va? I think I enunciated that wrong. Welcome in, Curio. Someone got me a subscription. Oh man, yeah, Friday there were so many gift subs. Which reminds me, Nas, I didn't get the chance to say thank you when you left because I couldn't see. I couldn't see that you had that you were leaving, so I missed that. Sorry about that. That was really good French. Thank you, Fen. Yeah, I don't think Courtney's right here right now. She also gifted a bunch of subs. People were so generous. It was nuts. We unlocked our final sub or our final emote slot because of all the gift subs. Nas did a poggers on Friday. Yeah, man. But yeah, if anyone's actually interested, I posted in the Discord for folks to vote on which emote they want to have added. What's up? I'm working on this character. We're actually doing a little workshop thing today. We've been doing that every weekend for the last 5 weeks. This is the 6th week, where I've just been going over the process of creating a character. It's been a fun time. I'm so out of the loop. I didn't know what happened on Friday. Oh, it was my birthday. We played video games, and then I got the most amazing gift I've ever received. A bunch of friends made a video game for me, of me, where I was the main character. It was amazing. It was very cool. I'm still blown away. It's funny, I was born in Stephenport, Louisiana, and they speak French in Louisiana. And I used to have a southern French accent when I was little, but I was raised in Arizona and lost my French and my accent a bit. Oh, that's a shame. By a bit, I mean a hell of a lot, yeah. Joyeux anniversaire. Merci beaucoup. That reminds me, when my friends made a music video for my birthday and I reacted in a bad way. In a bad way? You didn't like their music video? Cringe? Yeah. Almost came to tears? I don't cry. Hold on. I need to get some more water. Just give me a second. It wasn't cringe, it was kind of a roast. Oh, I see. I was embarrassed they put so much effort in it. Oh, now I have to check out the game. I posted it on, I shared it on Twitter. You can also watch the VOD, but the VOD is very long. I separated the video out for just that playthrough. But yeah, I get it. Like no one wants to be roasted. I wouldn't suggest doing a roast video for someone's birthday. But in a strange way, I guess that shows that they care about you enough to poke fun at you. If it makes fun, makes you feel better. If any of you've seen Frozen, there's a song called Fixer Upper, and one of my friends shared that on my Facebook years ago, and said it was my theme song. I was like, oh thanks. I appreciate it. It's all good now. I don't have friends anymore. I can't get embarrassed. Oh man. I'm your friend. I'm your friend. We're all your friends. How can you say you don't have friends? Please don't roast me, Cable. It's too easy to do. I'd feel really bad. Fixer Up is a good song. What are you talking about? The whole song is about the person being flawed. Oh, thank? Yeah, of course. We care about you so much, we pointed out all of your flaws and then blasted them for everyone to see. Fun, interesting game. Also, please unlock the platinum trophy. You really suck. Happy birthday. Yeah. Not, you know, not good, but I could see where the intention could have been good. I've been on a downward curve of liking Frozen since the release. Oh yeah, I'm close to hating it. I don't hate it. I liked the movie. I enjoyed it at the time I watched it. And I don't really let outside opinions waver me all that much. So. It's not worth the fuss and shudders. Yeah. Tangled was better, yeah. But you know, it was a decent movie. It's fine. It's not. It's like it's not one of those things that blows you away, but it's just like, you know, it's a good movie. It was my birthday, yeah. What if everyone is right and your subjective opinion is wrong? I guess I don't care. I wanted cake. Raya is still not released here. Oh yeah, I probably won't watch it for a while. It's a shame that it's just on Disney Plus. It'd be nice if you could just kind of like rent movies on their own. At least I think it's only on Disney Plus. If it's not, then cool. But good answer. I'm glad you like my answer. The big thing, you know, I think a big life lesson is you just never give a shit about anyone else's opinion. Who cares? Have your own opinion. I don't give a damn what anyone else thinks or wants. Well, no. I just want to enjoy things the way I want to enjoy things. That's all. Right is a good one? Yeah. I heard good things. One movie I do not want to watch was Soul. I watched with some friends, did not like. I liked Soul. I liked Soul. Again, it's not a movie that kind of like really stood out to me. For some reason, it really stuck out to a lot of like a number of people. I don't know why. I couldn't see why. I enjoyed the movie, but it didn't hit me hard like it did some other people. Who knows? The strategy at Disney is so weird. Some films released on Disney Plus, some are Disney Plus with $30 rent. Some are just going to cinemas. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. And then a few weeks later, they came out on Disney Plus without the extra fee. Yeah. My favorite was Inside Out. It's so smart. I thought Inside Out had a lot of parallels with Soul. Like they had very similar messages, I guess. After they finished the workshop. Oh no. What is this? Oh. Apparently, Raya has been available on VOD since April. Discs on May 18th. Okay. If it's more accessible, I'll definitely watch it. I just don't want to subscribe to another service just to watch a single movie, you know what I mean? Feels kind of dumb. Especially since you need to subscribe and buy it, yeah. I mean, to be fair, they're losing a lot of money from theaters, and they're trying to recoup. Right, so that's why that has to be why they're doing it. Frozen 2 made me cry more than any other thing in life. Really interesting. It's so scammy they didn't do it in France. I guess they're less lenient, or we're less lenient. Fair. Um, that's why Black Widow, which was pretty expensive, wasn't dropped on Disney Plus. Yeah. I'll be honest, though, I don't really watch movies these days anyway. And not just because of COVID, just because like I haven't really just gone out to theaters and watched movies in a long time. I think like ever since I think the last time I went out with friends to go see a movie was when I had a day job, or my old day job, and then I started freelancing, you know, um, and then you don't really get in on those kind of outing events. We need IS on Nintendo Plus. I definitely do want to get IS out there, that's for sure. I still gotta apply for that dev kit. But I'm waiting until I have the first town done. Once I have that town done, I will I'll put in some applications. I'm not going to do the wraps on the other arm right now because I just want to show as much diversity in stuff on the stream as possible. Obviously, I can do the other wraps off stream. There's no real point in showing it twice, right? I'm going to do a quick save. That's why I'm not doing movies anymore. They really aren't interesting. Yeah. Back in my day, people bumped bodies in Glee after watching a movie in theaters. I think it gets old, right? I will QO you is not following. Thank you for following. Please don't QO me. um, I hope it's a punch of glee though. Wait, what? Now if I try to get punched in the face? What? What if they say no? Will you keep going to apply again or give up and go for the PC market? I'll try a few times before I give up. And then if they deny me even more, I'll just release on PC, and then after I release on PC, then I'll request again. Because that's how it went for Chronicle. Because they denied us at first. And now we're trying again after releasing on PC. We'll see how that goes. How many times are you gonna watch Spider? Yeah, man, it's everything's just done over and over again. We're talking about well, not about partnership per se, but like getting a dev kit for the Switch. It's easier to get a dev kit if you have games under your belt, which I don't. So that's the problem. But I thought it'd be more. It would be easier to get interest if I go in with like some nice art, right? Which is why I've been polishing up the beginning of the game as opposed to just like adding more game content. I want to make sure that I have one polished segment of the game as to act as a promo material, right? Or just bribe them. Or have a few games in yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can maybe say that I worked on some AAA games and maybe that'll help, but we'll see. Do I want to add a hole there? I don't think so. If you don't get the dev kit, I know a guy that his uncle works in Nintendo. Yeah. There's a dev kit at my company, but no one showed it to me. Tell them you made the main character in Immortals. Yeah. Don't tell them they change everything. Yeah. I'll just say I worked on that game and it's on the Switch. It's basically a Switch with a big cable, yeah. It's nothing fancy, but I still need it. A big cable. It just strapped you to a Switch and shipped you over. Okay, so I think that's the general idea for the wraps. I might go in and add and work on it some more later. But that's essentially the gist of it, right? So just kind of like adding in those little details and stuff. What I want to do now is move on to the boots, and we're going to work on that for a bit. I am the dev kit. That's right. Feels like it'd be a bit a big hit on the Switch. I hope so. That'd be awesome. You know what it needs more booting? What, my game? That's right. I'll make a bathing suit skin pack. Get to smash profits. That's right. All right, so I have some more I can talk about here now. So for the boots, at this point, what my main thoughts are working in how I want the folds. It's made of leather, so it's generally pretty tight, but it's not going to be like a very thick leather. I still wanted to kind of you know, reflect on having the straps on here. I kind of want it to feel a little bit compressed. So it's probably a thin leather is kind of what I'm going for here. And you'll want to vary up the kind of details you do depending on what kind of material it is. If it's a really thick leather, it's not going to bunch up like this at the belts. Similarly, I want to have some folds around the knee. That's something to keep in mind too, is like there's some places where in the T-pose they wouldn't realistically have folds. Like this would probably be very, very barren because her leg is straight right now. But I add folds just because one, it adds visual interest, and also just it looks good when the character's in motion. Yeah, but they're interesting characters in quotes. That's right. Quote unquote interesting. Smash nurse. Nurse the boba? Yeah. Pebble. Welcome in, my friend. Thank you for the sub. Happy late birthday. Thank you, my friend. I hope things are going well. How are you today? Yes, it's a rare pebble sighting. We won't have Mei Shiranui because she's a bit risky. Also Sakurai. Let's add Mithra. I'm pretty sure Sakurai is not making the calls at this point. My understanding is that he was not making the calls. Yeah, so again, on the note of folds, like sometimes you'll add folds where you might not necessarily see them, like I mentioned, but you add them for the sake of aesthetic. Right? Because if it's just perfectly flat, it just feels very barren. Hey, camcorder. Nintendo establishes a list of characters that they got the rights to, then Sakurai decides which ones he wants to do. Yeah. That's fair. Nintendo doesn't like the Big Booba, yet Shantae is there. So, yeah, but that's not a Nintendo property. They just allow it on the Switch. They've definitely lightened up a lot on what they allow on the Switch, or on their platforms in general. Robot Boy 19 is now following. Thank you for following. She doesn't, but she's also wearing a bikini. Telden, thanks for the host. They allow man with the stick doesn't look, man. Why would I do that? Being careful what I'm reading now. This conversation is just full of smut. Why wouldn't you? I like Nintendo. I like Nintendo too. You know, everything has its flaws, but I think the pros of Nintendo way outweigh their flaws. Um, so I'm very okay with Nintendo. I'm more than okay with Nintendo. Nintendo's rad. They can hear us. And I like anatomy. That's right. You're rad? Oh, thank you, buddy. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad you think I'm rad. I'll take it. Woo, adult oriented, woo! Yeah. It's pretty kid focused, and yet they care much less about risky content than PlayStation, which is adult oriented. Yeah. See, the thing I think, well, where Nintendo's at now is that they're, as long as it's not their property, they're okay with it. Um, can apply for a dev kit on, what is Suja? I actually don't know. You might also be Brad? Wait, what? Who's Brad? On their IP, they avoid sexualization, although that doesn't have to apply to subsidiaries like intelligent systems. Yeah. Okay, so it's probably something really bad. Thanks for that cable. Okay. Another thing I want to fix here is I want to make sure that these boots make sense, right? So it has to overlap enough that the button could realistically clasp onto the other part of the boot. And I also want to add a little bit of pinching here, as if like the button here is kind of pulling on the fabric. And what will end up happening is everything's gonna like radially splay out from the button, right? All the folds. So if you were to imagine underneath, it would kind of like wrap around in this kind of U shape around the button. It's kind of the look that I'm going for here. I'm sorry, did I not say hey Cam? Hey Cam, I'm sorry. I thought I said hello already. So these boots made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. I'm sorry, Cam. I lose track of myself very quickly. Pirate software mode? Yeah. I haven't checked out their stream in a while. How else will you plant your turnips? That's right. Get hose, plant turnips. By hand like a peasant. Oh boy. Alright, we're gonna carry on down the leg here. On a jam, you say? What jam are you participating in? Are you doing LD48? I think I won't because I'm on GBA jam. That's what you're doing. I will be doing it, yeah. Which is also, I wanted to bring this up. I was going to mention this at the end of the stream, but there will be no workshop next weekend. I'll be postponing it 1 week so that I can do the game jam. I kind of wanted to postpone it anyway because I wanted to give us an extra week to refine our models before we get into Retopo. So I just want us to spend, just a little bit more time just making sure that everything looks as good as it can be. And then we're going to retopologize it and be good to go. I'm excited to see your entry. Thank you. I'm excited to see your entry. Please share this GBA game when it's done. Retopo, yeah. It has to be done. But I'll have more to talk about on that stream because there's actually things to mention consistently. Right now it's just like I have like a little thing to say here and there, but once I actually get started, it's just a matter of doing, right? So again, like I'm just adding like little folds around anything that would be crunching up the fabric, right? So anything that pinches, folds, like here the weight of the fabric would kind of lean on top. I'm not really putting a lot of folds underneath because all the gravity would sit on top, right? I do put a little bit of a bulge underneath, but it's not quite as defined as the upper portion. And I also don't want to go too far either because this is still leather, even if it's a thinner leather. I don't want to overdo it with the folds because then it starts to feel like cloth, right? It already kind of feels like cloth. His scree arms flail. Don't worry, Cam. It's not that bad. Okay. I'm on the fence. I might add a trimming to this boot later, like just like a line across. But I'm still thinking about it, so I'm gonna leave it as it is for now. I might fix the arc on this a little. I want to have like a nice clean shape, That's something that you do differently than on a realistic model as well. It's like I go out of my way to make these really clean arcs. Whereas if you're doing something more realistic, maybe you want it to be a little bit more disheveled, right? So maybe you want to have kind of like these little bends and stuff in there, but I want to have like a nice clean arc around. Before I go, have you checked out MetaHuman? I was seeing some posts about it. I asked for access. It looks great, but I'm kind of worried these tools might hurt 3D artists in the long run. From what I saw, it looks cool, but it doesn't really work for stylized stuff as much. But yeah, things like that will definitely, it's just going to automate things, right? So it's going to make our work a little more obsolete. That's just how it goes. Also, after you're done with the thing, I can show you the new clothes. Yeah, that sounds good. I think stylized characters will always be handcrafted. I think to an extent, there will be a point where they can be a little bit automated. But it's more difficult because there's so many different styles you could work in, right? So having a tool that covers all styles and all aesthetics is very difficult, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. But I do think that any job can be automated. It doesn't matter what you do, it can be replaced by a machine. Unfortunately, that's the reality. Not particularly. It has a bit of freedom, but it's a really slidable character creator. Yeah. There's still like a lot of limitations, right? It's never, well, I say never. It's not for a long time going to be able to 100% make a custom thing, right? It'll take a long time. Will all sort of resemble each other as you can blend presets and kind of slide them around. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like with that system, everything will feel kind of samey. So it's just like it's gonna force people to be more creative, right? So if they want to have something that stands out, then they're gonna have to be more designed about it. Robot, not character. Entertainers will be the hardest to automate. Yeah, it's doable though. What I like about Meta Hunter Creator is that it can be a great reference for drawing or modeling. Yeah, something that stands out. Stands out. Yeah. I'm not mocking your Canadianness. All right. Oat in a boat. A. Slides out. Have a good afternoon. All right, Curio. Have a good one. I mean, the MetaHuman is much like the Character Creator 3 that's already been out for a long while. People use that as well. Oh, yeah, 100%. It's a big balance between you know, time, money, and quality, right? And you have to, like, you know, use what you can to get the job done. Also, AAA games will always have character artists because they like to make their own shit. At least for a very long time. We'll see what the future holds. I think it's more targeted to indie companies that won't hire a character artist. Yeah. For sure, things will be hard, but they're already hard, you know. Okay, one other thing I want to do is I want to add a little bit of a beveling to this. New Nix 90 is now following. There, following. Welcome in. And in order to do that, I'm just going to mask off this this stretch. There we go. Oops. Visibility grow. Okay, then we're just going to up the res. And we're just going to add a little, just use the inflate tool and just go down the edge here. The big thing is I want it to feel like it's hemmed, right? So I'm just adding a little bit of a kind of bulge as if the fabric's kind of wrapped around itself. Or the leather, I should say. There. This adds a little bit more visual interest. I think I will embellish that a little bit with a bit of a dam standard. You know, just run that along the edge as well. There we go. All the metahumans are 8K though, so that'll be a rough time. Oh, they're just like super not performant. It's like Ralph Grassetti said. They're coming to take my job. Good. Let them come. It's not to worry. Yeah. I wouldn't worry. Who cares? UE5 will be God. We'll see how it goes. All right. I'm gonna store a morph target on this. I gotta think here how I want to approach this. I think what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of a an edging to this as well, so I might have to subdivide it. But maybe I'll wait a minute before I do that. I want to also have I want it to feel like it's like compressing the body underneath as well, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn symmetry off on this, and I'm actually going to pinch in just around any of the tight fabric. So it just looks like it has a little bit of pressure, right? This has like an elastic in it, kind of thing. I might lower the res a little bit so I can get a nice clean edge. Just kind of inflate above that as well. I might be overdoing it. A little bit of a dam standard as well. It's a very subtle thing, right? And again, I might have overdone it. Fortunately, I saved the morph target, so if I do overdo it, I can always just pull it back with my morph brush, right? You just go whoop, and it kind of yanks it back to position, right? I like before the final pass on the body, I always create a morph target. I tend to create a morph target on almost every stage, right? So every time I start like a new step, I'll create a morph target, so I can kind of, you know, make changes like this and easily just toggle them on and off. Hey, welcome in, Squeaky. How are you doing, my friend? Squeaky, I was meaning to message you actually. Someone was asking if we'd mind letting them re-rig Yeastra in Blender. I told them it would be fine, but I thought I'd let you know. Studio Videra is now following. They were following. And that way it's just more accessible for other animators. Pebikria Omira is now following. Thank you for following. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, there's Sebs. Maya rigs only work in Maya, huh? Yep. For some reason thought they might work in all apps. No. Not at all. I wish. The only thing that you can get out of Maya into other software is the skeletal mesh, right? The mesh and the skeleton. Everything else isn't transferable. Everything going? Yeah, it seems to be going pretty well. I will be pushing back next week, but I had kind of planned that anyway, so that we have an extra week for refinement. But I'm going to be doing a game jam next weekend, so I don't want to have too much on my plate at the same time. But yeah, other than that, everything's going pretty smoothly. I even went on my own time to go back and revisit some rigging stuff. And I fixed just so that I could remember how to do some stuff from the base level. Because it's been a long time since I haven't used my auto rigger. So now I remember how to do most things that I'll need to be able to do. And that is good. Yeah, we're just just going in there doing some refinement stuff, right? Oh, another thing I could talk about is maybe creating a brush for those scales. That might be a good thing to do this stream, actually. I'm gonna do that. What time is it? Oh, it's 11 already, eh? I also kind of want to grab some tea. It's been a question I've been having, but that might also answer my questions of the Ketsu animation file not working in Maya. I thought, isn't that tool supposed to work? Like, it's supposed to export to other software? Isn't that what it's made for? Like, I mean, things like, what's it called? Oh shoot. I forget what it's called. It's that online rigging tool. Shoot. If anyone remembers what it is, let me know. But there's an online rigging tool that lots of people use and everyone knows about, and I can't remember the name of it. But it exports in formats for every software, and I thought that that's what Ketsu is supposed to do. Mixamo, that's the one. Yeah. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks Saul as well. And J Crew, yeah. Thanks guys. I think it exports to other software, just haven't really seen anyone do it. Got it. Cascader? I haven't used Cascader. Okay. I'm gonna pull this in a little bit tighter. I don't want to have any gaps here. And again, I want this to feel like it's kind of, tight. It's a good thing I decided not to subdivide this yet. That was the right choice. Because now I can kind of get it into a good position. Ah, come on. I'm just going. Oops, actually, this should be symmetry. It's the same on both sides. Now I can use symmetry, which is nice. We're just gonna make sure that the skin kind of just bunches up against that. Actually forgot about Mixamo. You get a lot of people messaging me saying, we can't get your rig to work on Mixamo. It's like, well, my rig has dozens more bones than the Mixamo rig does. So no, of course it's not gonna just work. By the way, Squeaky, what's new? You designing any new characters? Also, happy birthday to you. Your birthday was very recently. Very recent. Very recently. That's English. I've only just started, but my Easter port already has. Wait, that's a lot of bones. 1,170 bones. Still chugging away on a witch. Nice. $290, which are oh, okay, that's right, because Blender uses bones as controllers as well. That is right. Okay. Again, just kind of bending that together. Yeah. Sorry, just stretching for a minute. You know, I'm gonna grab some tea real quickly. Do you guys mind? Hope you don't mind. I could use a little bit of tea. Take us through the rest of the stream. But we're making some good progress. Yeah, so just give me 1 minute, all right, guys? What's for tea? I'm gonna grab some chai. Hey, Mafik, welcome in. I'm just gonna grab some tea. I'll be back in about 3 minutes. I also get to show off my new BRB screen with all the cool art everyone made me. It was very cool. Thanks again, everyone, for all the wonderful art you gave me. It was a great birthday. All right, give me 1 minute and I'll be right back. Right, we're back. Thanks for your patience. All right, let's carry on. Where were we? I just realized this is subdivided. I thought it wasn't, but it is. That scared me. Okay. Yeah, still just similar process here. I'm gonna have a look at this. This part needs adjustment as well. You can see that when I projected it, it kind of got all messed up. I knew it was like this for a while, but we're gonna fix it now. Gonna lower some subdivision levels just to kind of get to a point where it's easy to smooth it out. I'm thinking I also want to have a look at the cape. I think that would be another thing that would be good for us to look at today. I'm just trying to like jump around and see, you know, what's the most valuable stuff to kind of look at. Because you get to a point like if you're, some things are just, it's all the same process that you're doing over and over again. So you want to make sure that each, or I want to make sure that each part that I cover is, has something different to kind of bring to the table. Art of Ortega is now following. They're following. Okay. So I think that's enough for that part right now. But you can already see it kind of, it feels a little bit more interesting because the fabric is actually, you know, interacting with the character, right? As opposed to just floating on top. Something that you can't get away with if you're doing a customizable system, but we're not, so we can. Watching working along with you is so freaking hype. I'm glad. I'm glad. All right, we're gonna store the morph target on this cloak, and we're gonna subdivide it now. So the cloak is very tricky. It's very tricky because it has thickness, right? And the reason that's tricky is because you kind of want to have some folds going on the inside, but you want them to match up as best you can. A lot of the times I usually sacrifice the interior, and I don't have a lot of the details that the exterior has, because otherwise things start to pinch together. So you'll notice I have backface masking on right now, so if I sculpt here, obviously it's going to do nothing underneath. But I do need to kind of like start getting those folds in there. Alternatively, I could use something like the standard brush with backfacing off and start to sculpt. It will pull a little bit. I feel like the standard brush is a lot less destructive than the clay buildup. The clay buildup tends to pull the opposite side more than the side you're actually sculpting on, because that's just kind of how the clay buildup works, right? Clay buildup is made to take the furthest back thing and pull it forward. Whereas damp standard, or not damp standard, but the regular standard brush just pulls everything at the kind of the same amount. So getting the base in with the standard brush is usually the best idea. But I like the feeling of the clay buildup brush better. But I'll be using the standard brush for a little bit, just to kind of get our main shapes down. I want to make sure that I start building in a lot of the folds here, right? Obviously, I'm not going to model all of these in the base model that we did in Maya. I just want to get major ones in, like this one that kind of goes down the whole cloak. Like that's like a major structural point of the cloak. But having like these kind of like crossing folds, one, it would just be a lot of work to make in Maya. It would also create a hell of a lot of pulls that you don't want to deal with. So you kind of like gotta pick and choose your battles. Sure, you're not going to get as clean a line because you're sculpting it, but it's fine. And it's nice to have a little bit of not perfectly clean lines as well, right? Otherwise, it feels very mechanical and not so natural. It might be, might be what you're going for as well, right? If you want to have something that's very geometric and very specific, that could be a style that you want. Would we be able to turn off backface for clay buildup? Yes, but the problem is, like I said, clay buildup takes the back part more than the front part, right? All right, I gotta go. Good luck, everyone. Have a good one, Sebs. Thanks for hanging out. So what ends up happening is it pulls everything together and just flattens it, right? So if I have backface masking off, it's just going to flatten the geo to make it wafer thin. And I mean, I could sculpt that and then basically mask off one side and then inflate it a little bit, and that could compensate. But it's still not quite good. And you'll notice that all the changes on the inside will be very, very sharp. Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of issues with that. And I'm also just going on the inside here and just kind of refining the shapes a little bit, right? You're not really going to see this too much, so I don't care a lot. But it is nice to have, you know, a little bit going on the inside as well, right? Oops. Yeah. The thing I like about clay buildups is it gives you like a more spread out surface, right? Whereas the standard brush, see, I'm switching to the clay buildup now at this point. But the standard brush, it really just kind of pulls everything out at one point. So you kind of get like this kind of triangular shape. Whereas the clay buildup will allow you to have some like flat top or like flat peaks, which I like aesthetically. And I'll even embellish that a bit with a standard brush by like just kind of pulling into the side a little. And the dam standard as well is very good for getting like getting specific creases. I gotta stop throwing like in my sentences. Bad habit. We're just gonna wrap around the arm here. Cool. That's essentially the gist of it. There's some areas that I've left symmetrical. I do like to keep the core of it as symmetrical as possible, just because it's easier. I know that I'm going to have to rig both sides of these, and if they're asymmetrical, it's just going to be a pain in the butt. Also, this way I can kind of sculpt them, right? So I know that it's kind of hooking onto this talisman in the middle. I'm going to turn symmetry on here, and we're just going to kind of soften off these folds, because it's very sharp, right? I like to balance soft and hard edges. Having everything crisp, it can be nice, right? But it's definitely not my aesthetic. You got to work with what you enjoy, right? And like I said at the beginning, try to make things in the style that you want to make. I don't really recommend just kind of trying to mimic exactly how I do things, and that's why I explain like, sure, I'm doing it this way, but that's because I want to have this particular aesthetic. But you might want something different, right? So if you want to have these really hard edges everywhere, you could totally do that, right? You can be like, I want this to be super sharp, right? I'd say like the only thing to keep in mind is about what I had before. It was sharp, but it was noisy because the sharp edges were so close together. So what I'm doing instead is I'm pulling, like if you wanted to have sharp edges everywhere, you could pull the sharp edge out here more, right? Because right now it had like a sharp edge, like this, like these two lines right next to each other, and it just didn't look very nice. Just cleaning up this edge. It's a little bit bumpy. Make sure that as you're working, you just look at the whole model as well, just to see what things are looking like in context, like I mentioned earlier. This bottom part isn't quite symmetrical, so I'm going to turn symmetry off again. Should probably look at the inside here. The inside probably needs some work. It's a little bit tricky to get in there, so I'm going to mask it off. There we go. Inside doesn't look too bad, actually. Put some symmetry back on. Not really going to see this, so I'm not too picky about it, but I will make it a little bit nicer. Just define an edge a little. Okay. All right, okay. I also want to fix this. I don't like how this kind of bends in suddenly. I could probably do this at a lower subdivision level. Yeah, this is a mistake in my my initial mesh that I should have caught. There we go. That's looking a bit better. Man, I really got to do something about that face. I might hop on the face next for a little bit. And then we'll talk scales. Maybe? I don't know. We can also maybe leave scales for another stream. That's a kind of like a refinement pass that I would do at the very end. But I do want to at some point talk about making a custom brush for adding those kind of patterns. Might even sneak that into one of my during the week streams or something. Just cover making that brush and also the what was the other thing we want? Oh, and the sword, right? The sword honestly isn't really anything new. It's the same kind of thing that we did with the shoulder pad armor in process, but I could still show it. Kind of want to again round this off a little bit. It just feels a bit sharp, you know. Gonna have a little bit of a bulge there as the fabric kind of bunches up. I wasn't a fan of how this went like straight across, right? Like it just like jutted up to the side and then just juts straight off in the direction there. I kind of have like this kind of like round bulge, right? So if I do this, right? Right now it's all freehand, yeah. I did look at close earlier when I was before stream, but right now I'm just kind of going off of memory. It's good to have reference, for sure. But right now I'm just going off of memory of what I looked at earlier. Right, so I'm trying to get this kind of shape, right, where it kind of bulges. Before it was kind of like this, right, which doesn't look very nice. I kind of want to have this shape where it's rounded, comes to a point, and then goes across, right? So you get your nice sharp edge and soft edge. So you get a round and sharp. This looks nice. Having this Z doesn't look quite as nice, in my opinion. Yeah. And if I'm honest, I probably should be looking at more reference than I have. The problem is, like, I don't want to. I'm showing you guys how I do things, like how I want to show you guys the process. I don't want to be spending all this time looking for reference or like just constantly just finding new reference, just because like I don't want to waste your time. But again, I did this for the anatomy too. Is like after the stream, I went in and I just pulled up some more reference and kind of went to town just to kind of like make it a little bit nicer. But I've also made so many capes. I made a lot of capes. So I have an idea of what I want. You know what I mean? I do. Yeah. Lots of capes. when you make something a lot, you have a specific process for making that thing, right? So like I know every time I make a piece of draping cloth, that I'll always have like stuff coming from the two poles and then kind of looping in the middle. Like that's just a pattern that I'll always have if it's a draping fabric. And this is no different than any other draping fabric. It's basically like draping off of her shoulders, right? So it has two anchor points on each shoulder, and then they kind of just branch together and then kind of drape off at the bottom. Oops. No, no. I hate when I do that. I hate that you can, yeah, that's what I thought. I hate that you can accidentally change your menu. Like, this shouldn't be possible. You shouldn't be able to change these icons. Anyway, I always restore my custom UI whenever that happens. I got it back. But it's kind of dumb that you have to do that. I don't know why it works that way. They have the ability to turn off customization and turn it on. So I don't know why why you're able to change that when your customization is turned off. But it's an iconic feature. Oh. How dare you? That's exactly. That was exactly my face. No, it's deadpan. Road is shameless. I'm also noticing I got this really sharp edge here. I'm going to soften that thing right off. I'm just going to lower the subdivision levels and smooth the hell out of it. Make sure that this is kind of inflated on the outside. There we go, that's a lot better. Cool! I kind of want to embellish this fold a lot more. It's not doing it for me. This should be better. It's a lot of the same size shapes. So what I want to try to get in here is I want to have some larger and smaller shapes. I'm just pulling out this this part of the cloak here, so that I have this nice big folded chunk with the smaller chunks that sit on top. Right, so essentially I have this big piece here, and then I have these kind of like little folds that kind of sit over top. It's true, I have no shame. Blah, 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 blah. There you go. You know what? I think that's a good way to live. Shamelessly. In all seriousness. That's how you live a good life. Not fretting over the nonsense. It's next to godliness, yeah. The gods were also shameless. NSFW work from you when? I don't want to hurt my brand. I would never share that stuff. Stop watching Fast and Furious? I don't get that reference. I hear cars driving. Oh yeah. I'm pretty close to a highway. So you'll get speeding cars every now and then. Some folks just want to go fast. More like you're close to F9 movie films. That's right. Yeah, I don't know where people gotta be so fast, but they most certainly do gotta be there. Wherever that might be. Good old capes. I love capes aesthetically, but they're always the most painful thing. Like, I'd rather do hair than capes. But I really love capes. It's funny. We can go fast into the next lane, perhaps. They're on the highway to hell. They gotta go fast. Incredibly interesting in how this cape will be rigged. Interested? Sorry. You'll see. It won't be anything interesting. It's gonna just be an FK rig, but it'll work. I'll show you. You'll see it. You'll see the process. At least it's not wings? You're right. At least it's not wings. Wings are brutal. Wings are brutal. It's funny, even at work I end up on freaking wing duty. I always get the birds. When I was working on Thomas and Friends, I had to make I think it was like it was a seagull. Yeah. And then when I worked at my next company, I had to make a pelican. Yeah. I think I can't remember. I think I did have to rig the seagull too. I can't remember if I was the one who rigged it. But I did not have to rig the Pelican. Wing duty, what? Yeah. Chicken or buffalo? I wish. No. What do you think of 3D Code? I enjoy 3D Code for Retopo, but I don't like it for much else. Only a robot would know how to make a government drone. Where did that come from? Look, man, I'll make all the drones I want. Birds aren't real. How could you? They're the perfect surveillance system. It's true. They're drones. Bird drones. But that doesn't make them any less real. They're still real. And they're really watching you. Let that sink in. Wonder if I want to have the fold kind of travel up. I think I do. That looks a lot better. Kind of makes it feel a little bit, you know, more like fabric, right? I like this idea. Because it wouldn't just have like a solid crease like that. It would kind of flare out. Snoss with the birds. That's right, I'm always watching. I see everything. You can't end me, Nas. You can't stop me, it's too late. Stop in the nest emote. I don't even know what that would look like. With an egg on his head, yeah. All right, that's pretty good. What time are we at now? Okay, it's almost noon. Go a little bit longer. What do you think, guys? Would you like to see some work? Where would you like me to work on, like, as far as like what would be most helpful to you? Because like I could do a number of things. I could work on the bracer, the face, like the stomach area / shirt. The pauldron. I could work on the pauldron too. I mean, it's a metal. We haven't really looked at metals. Shirt? Because shirt is just the same kind of stuff. We already did the butt. Pouches? We can do pouches. I just want to make sure that it's something different that you guys haven't seen. Okay, we can look at the pouches. Seriously though, dude. Come on, guys. I know what you want, but honestly, I'm trying to I want to make sure that this is actually useful to someone, right? Okay. We'll do some pouches. Yeah. In all seriousness, okay. So the pouches aren't going to have too much because they're pretty. I want them to be pretty clean, but the big thing is that I want to make sure that I kind of have them interact with the straps and stuff like that. So I'm going to hide the buckles, buckle pin, and the upper strap because those are not important. And what I want to do here is I want to have, well, first of all, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I just want to try something really quickly. I'm going to put on symmetry mode. The symmetry obviously won't work right away, but if I change it to z-axis, right, and now it's not centered, but if I do local symmetry, okay, it does work. I wanted to see if this would work because both pouches aren't lined up with each other in the Z, but if I mask off the one that I'm working on, then it does center it. So that's good. Okay, cool. And the reason I did that is because I just want to have this nice, I want to have an easy time adding this kind of slot for the strap. And to have it kind of bulge out as if the strap was kind of like underneath the fabric, right? There we go. Okay. Yeah, just making sure that it kind of has that feel. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do this twice because I'm not smart. I think if you were smart about this, you could probably just do one pouch, then bake the normals and stuff from the one pouch, and then use it on both. But I'm not going to do that. Each pouch is going to be unique because that's what I want to do. Yeah, see now it actually looks like there's some sort of interaction going on there. And I'll just do the same thing real quick on the other pouch. And the thing that's going to vary between them, or the reason why I want to have these two unique, is because I like to have gradients on my character. Because one pouch is lower than the other, it means that I want one pouch to be slightly darker than the other pouch because it's lower on the character. But I like to have this kind of gradient from top to bottom. Just it adds this kind of nice aesthetic to it. Even though I could probably or definitely get away with not doing this, that's what I want to do. Also, this will allow me to have some unique folds on each, which will make it a little bit more visually interesting. Right? Cool. Now I'm going to turn symmetry off. I'm going to show everything again. Because now what I can do is I can add these kind of just some folds on the top, just to kind of make it feel a little bit looser. Make sure I'm in a lower subdivision level because it was getting a little bit lumpy. Got a quick save going. Oops, not like this. I'm just adding some small details to kind of break it up. I still want it to be generally pretty clean, just because that's just the look that I'm going for. I could add little cuts and stuff in here too to make it a little bit more interesting, right? One thing I wanted to do too is add these kind of like really embellished stitches. I still might do that. I completely forgot about it. The idea is I would just add in some rings. I'll probably do that in Maya. Just kind of some big loops that go from here to here. There we go. Yeah. Hey Katsu, welcome in. Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing on this upper one. But make it a little bit different, right? So let's see. Maybe I'll have it kind of like more draped fold, kind of like this. I am realizing that I do need to zoom in a bit, maybe make it a little bit smaller, lower subdivision level. I'm definitely accidentally grabbing the back. So if I unmask this, the other side is probably going to be like all pulled forward, but oh well. I'm treating this kind of a little bit differently. I just want to have some different folds on each just so that it feels unique. Are you going to rig the pouches so they can open? No, these are going to be always closed. I will add a bone to them so that they can, you know, move around, but they will be always closed. It wouldn't be hard to make it so that they can open, but if I were to make it so that they could open, I would have modeled it with the flap open, because otherwise it's like in this position, you don't really want to rig it in this position. At the very least, I would have it kind of like this. At the very least, I would do something like this, where it's modeled like this, with the flap straight out like that, and this is open. Or like more ideally, it'd be just like straight up from there. And then you'd have to have this part hollow with whatever. But then you'd bend it once it's rigged into this position. Unrelated question: How would you do braids? So I can talk about the braids in a little bit more detail in a minute if you want. I just sculpted out of a tube because I'm crazy. You could also create you could also probably just create it in a modeling software, and just create one chunk of the braid and then just tile it. That's what a smart person would do, but I'm not one of those people. What would I look up for something like that? I would just look up a picture of a braid, to be honest. But like I would just look up images on like how a braid it works. But essentially, a braid is something like this, where you have one chunk like this, one chunk like this, and then something like that, right? Where like two wrap around a centerpiece, or even just having the two, right? Actually, a lot of the times I've done this before, and I would just use two. The tiling thing, there's nothing special to it. You just make sure that you create an object that's perfectly lines up, right? So essentially what I would do is I'd model a shape like this. So two tubes, one tube like this and one tube like that. And then I would just create an instance of that object and put it below. And then make sure that these snap together. And these snap together. And if you do that, then you can test tile it like infinitely. The only issue that comes in is that the bottom piece needs to kind of become like a kind of have an end to it, right? And this is why I don't like doing the tiled piece, because like this never looks good. I'd rather just sculpt it. So what you could also do is you could create this tube, dynamesh it, and then sculpt at the bottom if you wanted. Or you just model in a piece where this becomes two chunks at the bottom and then sculpt that. Yeah. But on this character, I literally just took a cylinder and I just like sculpted these shapes into it all the way down. All the way down the bottom. Nice job, no worries. Yeah, I should probably have demoed that properly. I still could. Maybe I'll do that in a bit. But that's pretty much all there is to it. There you go. So the next part that I want to deal with on the pouches, this is also I'm gonna want to be in symmetry mode. And I want to add, oh wait, we gotta subdivide this. Apply, divide. So morph target, I'm gonna then bump down a little bit. And the reason why I add more subdivisions than I need is that way I can create a morph target at a higher level, and if I did need to go up another level, I wouldn't have to create a new morph target. So I usually do a couple extra subdivisions. And the big thing now is I want to make sure that this looks proper. So I'm going to mask this. Oops, not like this. Like this, right? And just to make sure that things are working properly, I'm just going to like do something on the one side. Okay, good. What I want it to look like is I want this to look like fabric that was folded in on itself. So I'm going to add this kind of crease in there like this. So it looks like this was hemmed in the middle here and kind of just crumples in. Going to take a tiny lunch break? Send me AFK? Yeah, no worries. Didn't know you were doing this. Would have followed the process live. Oh, no worries. I'm always happy to, you know, have a look at things that people are working on even after this is all done. And there's still a lot left to do in the process. We haven't, we've only been doing the high poly. And that's a very, very, you know, small step, creating a full character. We still have to do, you know, all the technical nonsense. And then we get to do some texturing, which will be the last little bit of, no, the last little bit of creativity will be animation, but after that, well, other than that, it's mostly just technical nonsense. I think that's why 3D art is often not considered art. Because it's very technical, right? It's not, a lot of it isn't creative. Maybe I'll kind of like inflate here. I'm gonna have to do this again on the other one too. I'm an idiot. I want to actually have this taper off a little bit more. Seems a little bit too sharp to me. The good thing I have symmetry on my side. So a little note about symmetry and when to use symmetry, right? Is I'd rather have the two sides of this pouch be symmetrical than have these two be exactly the same. And the reason for that is because you can see the side of these at the same time, but you can never see this side and this side at the same time. So it's very hard to tell that they're the same most of the time. So that's kind of how I judge like when I'll use just like use or like reuse a texture or create something that's symmetrical. It's like if you can never see that they're the same, then it's fine. This is a once a week thing. Big brain, Kappa? Yeah. Big brain stuff, that's right. Joke's on you, I'm actually a small brain, but I'll take it. Can't you just do one side of the pouch and mirror with all the textures and bake? Yeah. Yeah, you can. But I like to be able to visualize it on the sculpt, right? I like to be able to see it. Oh, I would never have guessed. Hey, Marissa, why'd you change your name? Now you're just going to confuse me. How am I going to remember this? It still has stuff in it. Yours is completely different. The touche? Look, man. My name is still essentially the same. I don't animate on stream anymore, so my name didn't make any sense. You could have just said it's Marissa. True? Yeah, true. So you're never going to animate on stream anymore? That's too bad. too late now? No, it's not. You can still change it again. Sure, I'll save. I gotta head out. Thanks for the laughs. I'm glad I could present you with some quality humor. Have a good one, my friend. Yeah, we should probably be closing up this stream fairly soon as well. I kind of did want to show you guys how to do the scale stuff, because I might do that more off stream, because that's going to be brutal to watch, but I kind of want to show you the process. So I might do that at the very last thing that we do, and I'll just do it roughly. I won't do the final thing. This Ortega is now following. They're following. But I think that would probably be the most useful information I could share. And then I'll look at anything that anyone wants me to look at for the last little bit, and then we'll close her up. Find someone to raid. I hope this today has been somewhat useful to y'all. You went online the second before you and Fro? Well, he had the edge. Stop for Twitch partner. I don't think I could ever reach partner. I don't have the gung ho mentality to be a partner. You gotta be very you have to be a very solid entertainer, very enthusiastic and loud. And I am none of those things. Always, Jaker? Thank you. Very close to 50 average? You need 70 average. And I don't think I'm actually close to that either. Because I may have, like, I think it reaches about 50. I'm everything but loud, yeah. So I sometimes could reach about 50, but I do not have that for the whole stream, right? It takes Like it takes a while to kind of build up an audience each day, so the average is actually a lot lower. Time to start screaming, that's right. Do as Marissa does and come in screaming. Ah! Time to start rapping, yeah. And yeah, no avatar today, Paul, because I'm doing the workshop, and I don't want to have anything over the interface because I'm trying to like demo stuff, right? But once we're done, I'll bring everything back on. Okay. Getting footage for future videos. Yeah, so if you type exclamation mark VOD, Paul, or VODs, plural, you'll get all the videos that we've recorded so far for the character creation workshop. Yeah, so that's what we've been doing. That's also why there's no music right now. Oh. There we go. Sorry, my headphones died. My headphones died, and then the music started playing through the speakers, and then everything disconnected because my computer lost connection to my headphones. Yeah, it's fine. That's good. We're just continuing work. On our character here. I'm gonna add a little bit of that inflate. Kind of bunch it up. The idea is just to kind of have it feel like it's kind of crunching up against the outer walls of the pouch. Loving the leg belts. Thank you. When in doubt, just add more belts, right? Okay, so that's essentially the gist of it for the pouches. I'll turn everything back on. See? Nice. If I wanted to, I could maybe have made it a little bit more, you know, softer or like more fluffy, but I think they're fine. Belts is greater than no belts. It's true. Did you design this character? Yes. So the first video in the workshop is us designing this character. The concept is right here. Yeah. Lover already? Thank you. All right. So I'll touch up on. I could do I could do this piece, the pauldron. I actually want to create a separate folder for it. Because I want to break it apart. New folder, Pauldron. I'm gonna split, group split. This is fine. Okay. I'll do one piece just to kind of show you the process. Geometry, apply. Oops, I'll divide it a few times. And then store morph target. So the main thing, because this is a hard surface object, and it's the model wasn't perfect, you'll see there's a couple little kinks and bumps along these little corners here. I usually like to kind of you know, plane those off, clean them up. We'll put on symmetry as well. Local symmetry does not seem to be working. Which is a problem. Oh, it's angled now. Symmetry isn't going to work. It's fine. We'll just do it on both sides. I forgot about that. I rotated this this piece, so it's no longer symmetrical. It's probably better that I don't use symmetry here anyway. It'll make it more interesting. So I'll plane those kind of things off, and I'll usually add a little bit of, because it's a metal object, I'll usually kind of break up the edge a little. I think her head is smaller in the concept. Maybe. Her head's already very small. I did this. I basically traced the drawing and made it so that I could kind of get the proportions down. Her head was fairly big. Is that a werewolf arm? No, it's a dragon arm. This is a 10-year-old design, by the way. Just add a dragon arm, it'll be cool. It's supposed to be like a dragon demon. That's right. I just mean in concept, Paul. It's like, you know, like the little kid, like who's just creating this stupid design. It's just like, you know, it'd be cool, a dragon arm. That's right. So stuff is a stupid kid. Yeah, we've been through this. I'm a dumb child. Talented stupid kid? I don't know about that. Stupid kids are generally pretty talented. Much more creative. Okay. So it's essentially this is just the process that I'm going through. I'm basically like roughing up the edge a little bit. For the style that I go for, I generally like to have a generally clean main surface with a kind of broken up edge. and add like a couple little scratches and stuff in there. You can also add scratches later in substance and stuff like that. But I don't know, sometimes it's nice to just do it in the sculpt. One, it makes your sculpt look nice, and two, you have a little bit more freedom. It's just kind of easier to define the shape if you wanted to go a little bit more specific. Do you save backups? Yeah. I have a clean version of this file. Actually, I haven't saved this at all today, other than quick saves. So when I save it properly at the end, it'll be on as a different file, because the previous file is just the clean shape. And I'll do this on all the other metal pieces as well. Okay. So that covers most things. The only thing that I'm not fond of is this is all lumpy now, and that's pretty bad. I'm gonna lower it down to the subdivision level. Oops. There we go. I'm gonna soften this off a little, because what ended up happening is I pulled this in to be tighter on the leg, but I didn't do that on the bottom part of it, because I did this in symmetry mode on the left side, or on the right, on her right, our left. So the top part was punched in, but the outside was kind of like bulging out, so it carried this kind of like lumpy feeling. So I want to make sure that that's all smoothed out and fixed. Cool. That looks a lot better. Nice. Live dangerously. Well, it's not that dangerous. I'm still doing quick saves. It's no different than doing a regular save. Okay, so at this point we are at 12:30. I could do some work on the face, or I could also show you guys how to make the tail texture for scales. Do you guys have a preference? One thing I never understand about those bikini clothes design is that, imagine, oh yeah, no, that wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, no. Scales? Scales. All right. But this isn't a heavy armor character either. Like, this isn't armor. She has one shoulder pad because it looks kind of cool, but that's kind of in character. So keep this in mind too, is like, I wouldn't normally design a character like this, but this is actually in character for this character. Because she'll just steal stuff from like whatever she finds around, and she just wants to look cool. So it's actually in character, which is fun. Anyway, so yeah, we'll do the scales then. And I'll do a proper save now. It's literally decoration, actually. Police and guards? This character is not a police or guard. At least your shoulder will be safe. That's right. Oh, she stole it from guards, yeah. Their shoulders will not be safe. Mind you, she usually just like loots it from corpses. Okay, so what I have to do here is create I need to make sure that this is square. So I'm going to turn Pro Mode off. I'll set this to like, oops, to something like 1024 or 2048, whatever. Actually, I'm going to do 1024 because it just makes more sense, in my opinion. Okay. The cape to be able to go over the shoulder if needed, then go back, it'd be very difficult. You have to model it out straight first and then rig it. Wow, I had all caps on. I wrote Pauldron all caps. All caps Pauldron. Oh yeah, okay, so now what we're doing is we're going to take a plane. Oh, I also didn't change the document size. Resize. I would. Alright, we're just going to zoom out a bit so that we can see the whole canvas. And hit Control N for a new canvas. Right? We're going to draw this plane in. Alright, so now that we've drawn this plane in, I need to turn off perspective. I'm actually going to duplicate the plane. All right. I'm going to duplicate this plane. I'm going to make it bigger. You know, good bit bigger, right? Make sure that, you know, got some decent level of subdivision. I'm obviously going to have to subdivide it a lot more. All right. And I'm going to hide this. So, the reason why I'm doing this is we're going to create a tileable texture, right? Oh, whoops, one other thing. Before I subdivide it, I want to make sure that I have... This doesn't really matter that much because this is going to be off frame, but I'm going to turn off smoothing so that the corners don't soften off like that. Okay, I'm going to store morph target. And so I have this other plane, and it's smaller, right? So this excess area is the bleed, right? But it'll be tiling within this square here. So when so what I do to make it tileable is one, I frame it, right? So I use the top one here, and I make sure that the canvas is framed to this one, not to the bigger one. Make sure you don't frame the bigger one, because if you frame the bigger one, your bleed is going to be on screen. That's bad. So you want to frame that. So now, what I have to do is I have to go into my brush, and for each brush, which is a bit of a pain in the butt, but you go into your brush, go into curve, and turn wrap mode to 1. So now what's going to happen is if I sculpt here, it goes to the other side. I'm going to go down a couple subdivision levels because that was pretty slow. Yeah, there we go. Lunch done. Welcome back, Telvin. Right? So this is a very cool thing. And just to kind of show what I mean with the bleed and whatnot, I go off like this, and if I zoom out, this part of it matches this part, right? So basically, you see a little bit of the previous side on the other side. The reason it's nice to have a bleed is because if you had the plane end right at the edge, you're going to get this kind of like strange deformation on the edge, where basically, if I try to sculpt on this, see how it all like kind of lifts up like that? And it creates this huge mess. We don't want that. Because it's just, you know, you're not going to create a tileable texture with that, because now there's a big gap, there's a hole there, right? So that's why you want to have a bleed on your texture. Is this making sense so far? I'm going to look up some pictures of scales real quick. I got to take my caps lock off. Just typing everything all caps. All right. That's not the kind of scale I'm looking for. I type in scales, I'm getting like, you know, the weigh scales. I'm gonna type in lizard scales. There we go. Cool. All caps spam! That's right. I get angry when I name things, that's right. I vent all my frustration in the names. And we joke, but I actually do that sometimes. If I'm frustrated, I'll just like name a file. Just like with tons of cursing in it. All caps. Okay, so oops, wrong plane. Okay. And I'm actually going to turn symmetry on as well. And we're going to just sculpt in some scales. And take your time with this, right? You want to make sure that it looks good. Or as good as you can. I'm actually curious. Oh, neat. I've never tried doing this with symmetry. And honestly, with symmetry, you probably don't need the looping. But that's okay. It's good to know how the looping works. Bruh? Bruh. Ah, oops. All right, so sometimes this will happen, and if that happens, I just kind of reset my framing. There. Yeah. And then once this is all done, we'll be turning it into a texture that we can use. And there's two ways you'll be able to apply this. You could apply it either as a brush, or you could tile it as a pattern. And for the tail, I'll probably tile it as a pattern, but for the arm, I'll probably apply it as a brush. Because it's there's going to be a lot of seams if I try to apply it as a tiled texture on the arm. Uh-oh, I realized I made a horrible mistake. Good thing I had symmetry on, but I actually forgot that I had to be changing this on all my brushes. I should have done that beforehand. That was a mistake. Good thing I had symmetry. Keep that in mind, guys. You have to set these all. Okay. I don't even know what that does. It does this, where basically if I draw on, see how it's coming at the top? So if I extend past the bottom, it goes to the top. That's what it does. Because we're creating a tileable texture. Symmetry and wrap, yeah. Meta, welcome in. It's extremely useful, this tool. I've been using it on my game a lot too to create tileable normal maps. Because what you can do as well is you can create an alpha map within ZBrush, but you can also export this geometry and bake it to a plane and get a very nice tileable texture. And you don't always have to sculpt on a plane either. For example, I did kind of planks of wood and stone bricks. And I just, I made a bunch of cubes in Maya, brought them in here, and then I just sculpted them. I just made sure that they fit within a square, that they were tileable within a square. And then I was able to sculpt on those objects and make a very decent tileable wood and stone pattern. And if you wanted to as well, you could probably create smaller scales, right? Because this is likely going to be very clearly tiled, right? Because they're so like they're very large scales, right? Which means you're going to see the repetition much more often. Depends on what you want to do. And I might revisit this later and make it a little less obvious. We'll see how I feel at the end. Just scale up, scale you scales up or scales down, yeah. But that's the problem, right? Like if you scale them down, you're still you're gonna see the tiling more because they tile more frequently than if you had done smaller scales that basically have more variety, right? Because with this pattern, I have maybe 5 unique scales that are going to be repeated over and over again. I hope your day's going well. Oops. Gotta reframe. Damn it. Okay. To be more serious, you could tile the larger scales onto another plane. Yes. Yeah, and then kind of break it up there. Yeah. It would just be a little bit tricky. But yeah, you could definitely do it. I also realized that I made a mistake when I modeled this. Because this scale has to go like this. There we go. But it's easy fix. Is there a thing like where you could do this with alphas? Well, I'm creating an alpha right now. That's what we're doing. Yeah. I want to make sure that that's, yeah. Wrap mode is turned on. Okay. I hope this isn't too boring. I'm not going to refine this fully, I think, because I just want to get this into a place that's decent enough to kind of just show you guys the workflow, right? Because I don't want to have you guys sitting here forever. Can I do this with a texture of armor in my character? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean by rivet plate either. The armor of my character has this Chinese thing that are many little plates together. Yeah, you can do this with any tileable pattern. But if you want to use, are you saying that you want to do it with a photo and not sculpt it? If you want to do it with a photo and not sculpt it, then I would just do it in Photoshop. Oh, those plates that you had showed me before. You could do it that way. You could. I would almost model these though, because they're not organic. They're metal, right? I'd almost model those plates in Maya and just tile them, and then take that model, make sure that like it tiles within a square space, and then you can bring it into ZBrush and then do the same projection process after. But because they're like a hard surface repeated pattern, I would just do that in Maya. These are kind of organic, so that's why I want to sculpt them, because it makes them feel a little bit more natural. But you could 100% just model them. In fact, I could probably have just modeled these as well. But I did want to show you this process because it is super useful. Because not everything is like a tileable chunk, right? Because these are very clear, distinct plates that are very easy to create a model of in tile. Yeah, I would just model those on a flat surface cable, just flat. And then you can do one of two things. One, you could either create an alpha and then bake it down onto the mesh. That would work fine. Two, you could wrap it to fit. Onto your mesh and then bake it so that it's actual geo on the surface. And because you're going for something a little bit more realistic, I would almost recommend that. So what part do you not understand? Hopefully YouTube is your savior? Oh no, I can explain it more if you don't get it. I'll tell you what, after this I'll show you how I would do that in Maya. Oops, damn it. The wrap thing? No. I mean, like, use a lattice in Maya and wrap it. Or the wrap deformer. If you showed me for specific in this case, yeah. But let me finish this first and then I'll show it to you, okay? Take your time. Well, I don't want to take too much time. I'm gonna be here no matter what. All right. Okay. I think this is good enough just to kind of demo how this is going to work. Obviously, this texture is not done and needs more work, but it's a start. All right. Okay. So now that I have this tileable texture, right? What I go and I do is I go alpha, and then I do from canvas, I believe. There we go. Oh, hold on. How do I do this again? Or was it texture from canvas? Grab dock and depth. There it is. I think. Nope. To make modified alpha? No. Create alpha from mesh. That's not it. Hey Sins, I'm just showing how to create an alpha texture, but I forgot how to do make alpha. Guess? There's a way to create an alpha from the document. It's been a while. Normally I'll export this and I'll bake it for other purposes, but I haven't created an alpha in a little while. I'm just trying to remember. Grab texture from document. Clear depth. See, grab doc and depth I thought would give me the depth as well, would give me the alpha. It doesn't seem to have. I was able to create this, but this isn't the true hold on. I'm just going to create so normally if I'm creating a stamp brush, what I'll first do is I'll take a base material, we'll say the standard, and I will create a duplicate of this. Oops, sorry, click there. Clone it. And we should have a standard 1, right? And standard 1 I'll turn into a drag rectangle. Alpha, I'll use this alpha that we created. I don't think this is the proper alpha, but I'll just try it out. And we'll make a make this into a poly mesh. And we'll divide it a bunch. Just try this out. Yeah, it's not quite right. The alpha isn't right. Because we're getting this really artifacty thing. That's not right. Okay, so we're gonna go back to this. Just gotta remember how to do this. Create noisemaker. No. Modify. Flat. Create flash mesh from alpha. No. So from mesh was the closest thing, but it wasn't cropped properly. Hey Uni, how are you doing? Do you remember how to grab a alpha from the canvas? I can't seem to remember right now. What's the difference between polymesh and not polymesh? You can't sculpt on a polymesh. You've never done that. Okay. Hold on, I'm just gonna look this up real quick. I'm sorry. I should know this, but normally, again, I'll bake it in an external application. I don't normally have to use these tiled patterns, but I thought I'd try something different. All right, so It's just grab doc. To convert it to an alpha. The depth of the scene created will be converted to an alpha. Color will be ignored. Okay, I'll try it again. I thought grab doc and depth would be the one, but it's this? Grab doc. No, see, it's not creating an alpha. See, that's why I'm confused. Like, normally this would create an alpha, but it's not doing that. Clear depth. Grab doc? No. What if I click here? Grab doc. Ah, there it is. Okay, there it was. It's there. Yeah. Trying something new. Ew. Yeah. Right. How you doing, my friend? Anyway, now we have an alpha, a proper alpha. There it is. And now we have a scale pattern. I got it the first try, if anyone asks. It is first try. And the great thing about this is we can go into our brush and we can scale it. Or alpha, sorry. And we can tile this as much as we want. Modify. We got our tile options. Do this like, I don't know, 6. And that's it. That's essentially how I would do it, right? So we can also change the intensity of it. So if we want to reduce the intensity to say like, I don't know, 0.5 to 0.2. Oops, it didn't change. Oh, I can't go lower than that? Oh, right, that's what I gotta do. Sorry. You change your intensity here. Just reduce it. There. And obviously I didn't create a perfect pattern, but that's how I'd create scales. Hey, Brendan. Like bomb throwing Zelda? We don't talk about bomb throwing Zelda. First try. Yeah, so there it is. That's how we do it. And this is so now what I would want to do is if I wanted to create, say on the tail of the character that we're working on, right? So if I go into the tail and isolate this, so now I have two options. One, I could paint it on, like we had just talked about, right? And just go all the way up. That is an option. And I could take that option. But the problem with doing this is you don't, like, you could line it up and get it fairly close, but then you kind of get this like weird projection nonsense. Oh, also make sure you turn on backface masking so it doesn't project on the back. Don't be dumb like me. Turn on backface masking. But what you can do here is I can go to the lowest subdivision level, right? I'd recommend creating UVs in Maya, but I could create UVs in here. So what I can do is one, I'm going to polygroup the top. Oops. W. Also, by the way, Uni, I'm very glad to see that you're streaming again. That's very rad. For anyone who doesn't follow Uni, they should go check her out because her work is amazing. I would shout you out, but my keyboard is under my tablet. Yeah. Okay. Now, what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was UV mapping. What was I doing? Transpose master? No, the UV master. I'm gonna try to unwrap first and see what it gives me. Otherwise, I might have to paint, which at that point I'll create a clone of this. C plugin unwrap. Actually, you know what? I will clone this. Let's not be stupid. Clone it. And what I'm going to do here is we're going to now make sure that this unwraps. Unwrap. Okay. And then where is it? Where is the preview button? Enable control painting? No. Where is it? There should be a check UV seams. Oh, it's there. Why can't I check it? Include polygroups. Did it not unwrap? Maybe I have to delete higher. There we go. So it did the opposite of what I wanted and created seams on the top. So we're going to use control painting. Enable control painting, attract. And I wanted to create a seam down the bottom here. Okay. Z plugin unwrap. Excuse me. How dare you? How dare you? Again, I'd rather do this in Maya, but I thought this would be faster. Because it's just a tube. Clearly I was wrong. Hold on. I'm gonna try this again. I'm gonna try attract, and then we're gonna do the protect. Protect. Oh, I protected the bottom instead of. Oh, I see. I did the opposite of what I was supposed to do. That's my mistake. Erase. Hold on. Okay, hold on. C plugin. Protect, attract. So I'm going to do attract on the bottom. And then we're going to go Z plugin. Protect on the top. And then hopefully that'll work. If not, well, whatever. I'll still show you the process anyway. Unwrap. There, perfect. Okay. Oh, thank you, Hamba. Thank you for putting the command. I don't have it limited to anyone can use the shoutout command. The problem was that you trusted ZBrush to do anything. It's true. This was the problem. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these UVs, copy UVs. We're going to go back to our original tail, Z plugin, paste UVs. Okay. And now that I have a tileable pattern, a tileable alpha, I should say, I need to get out of skin shade mode. Uh-oh. I hate when ZBrush does this. Well, looks like I can't get out of skin shade mode now. This is our life now. Oh, there we go. Okay, I just got to turn paint off. Then we go into our surface, and we can turn on noise, right? In noise, we take our alpha, but we have to take it from somewhere else. So the problem now is that we have to export it. So we got to go into our alpha. What brush am I on? Clay buildup? Well, whatever. Alpha. You know what I could do is I'll just switch to our new brush, our standard one. You could probably save this brush too if you like it, or want to reuse it often. I still have to work on those scales, so I'm not going to bother saving it. And what I want to do here is go to alpha, export, I don't really care about the name right now. Normally you'd want to name it something decent, but I don't care. We just take this alpha, open. And then what we do is we apply it in UV space. We're going to zoom in a bit. Right. We're going to turn off the noise here. Or, sorry. We're going to turn off. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. Alpha scale. All right, it's been a while since I messed around with this as well, but we'll get it. Hold on. Give me a second. We want to remove the noise. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Now we're seeing it. And now we increase the scale. Alpha scale. There it is. Okay. Okay. We're just going to reduce the scale a bunch. There we go. Yeah. See? So this is how you can do it with UVs. And apply it as well. I wish this would do something, but it doesn't. I don't know why this never does anything. But I would have expected it to offset the pattern, but it doesn't. Okay. And now I'm going to increase the intensity a little bit. Okay. Punch that in. And then we're going to hit OK. Autosave. I don't want you to autosave right now, please. Please stop. Escape. Okay. Okay, there we go. So this looks very intense right now. When you actually apply to the surface, it'll be a lot less intense. Something to keep in mind. But what I'm going to do is if I create a mask now, oops, wrong brush. If I create a mask, it's going to hide the pattern. So I don't want this pattern to apply on the belly or the underside of the tail. So I'll just mask it out, right? I mask out anywhere that I don't want it to apply. I'm just doing this roughly. I would obviously do this a little bit more purposefully, and if I was to do it on the final. But because this is just for preview purposes, we're going to do it like this, right? Make sure you have enough subdivision levels, and then what you do is you go to your noise again, or your surface, and then you hit apply to mesh. And there you go. Now we have scales on the tail, just like that. Didn't have enough subdivision levels. You can see it's a little bit jaggy, and my pattern wasn't perfect because I didn't create a good pattern. I gotta like actually sculpt that properly. But that's it. Never in my ZBrush life have I done this. I'm such a lazy artist. No, you're good. I don't tend to do it that often either. You learn to think? Good. There you go. So we have scales on the tail. But again, like I'm going to go and do that properly later. I'm going to spend, a good amount of time on it. But Cable, I was going to show you how to do that kind of thing in Maya as well. Right? So we jump into Maya. Onward to Maya. Will you bake in Marmoset? Yeah. Yeah. But if you go into Maya here, what I would do, Cable, is I would suggest, one, I'm going to hide everything. Then I'm going to create this plane. I don't know, this file is broken. I don't know what's going on, but it's not showing my grid. It refuses to show the grid, which is the problem, but not one that I'm going to deal with right now. It shows the grid in everything but this view. Oh wait, nope, there it goes. What the hell? Okay, I was doing this earlier and it was not showing the grid. All right, well, whatever, it's fine. As long as it's showing the goddamn grid. And I'll set this to like a nice even number, right? Like maybe 10. Okay, there we go. Feels good, man. Yeah, man. I want to bake a marmoset? Yeah, that's what we'll be doing. Is your game going to be How is your game going? Oh, hey Barrow. Game's going alright. I've been doing a lot of environment stuff. Right now we're doing some workshop stuff, but I would be happy to show you guys the game in a minute. I just want to show Cable something real quickly. So say this is your armor chunk, Cable. And I want to make this a nice evenly divided number, right? That's very important. I don't know, this is going to be 0.3 or something. I'm just going to create the shape that you need, right? Bevel, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to just delete all these edges. I don't care that this is going to be a shitty piece of geo. It's kind of as a demonstration, right? Okay, there we go. I'm going to go here. Oops. Double it. Okay. Anyway, close enough. And we're going to go here. Mesh. Triangulate. Mesh. Quadrangulate. There, perfect. Good enough. And then we're going to just rotate that. And then what you do is that you create an instant sleep. And you offset it by a very clean number, right? So actually, these are supposed to be both at 0. Well, whatever. I'm going to move this over to 1. Right? And this is going to be at 0. There. And you know, you could probably use the duplicate special or whatever to do this faster. But, you know, whatever. Fine. Cool. And 5. Divided. Right. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to pretend that I tiled this everywhere, okay? Don't tell anyone. We definitely did that, right? And then the x-axis, I'll probably rotate it like 1 or something, no more than that. -10. There, okay. The reason I do that is so that I can go instant sleep again, pull that out, maybe 2 units. Z is -3.5. And this is all going to be -1.5, I guess. Yeah. And we'll do this again. I don't think I tiled this properly, if I'm honest. But we'll see. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. I probably should have picked a number that was a little bit cleaner, because I don't know if this is going to tile on the other end. But regardless, maybe I should have done 2 or whatever. This is your pattern, right? And what you'd want to do is you basically bake. You could take this then into ZBrush to create your alpha, right? And remember how I was using the plane in order to frame the canvas? This would be your plane, right? So if I took, you know, I should probably just show you. Whoa. Cage. Thank you for the raid, my friend. How is your stream? Welcome in. I'm showing people how to make alphas. There we go. So now what I do is I take all this stuff, file, export selection, sculpt, temp, yield. And then what I do is I go into ZBrush, and I go to here and I go file, import, temp, right? And I have that plane in there, remember? So what I do is I'm going to go Control Shift, then I'm going to go split hidden, right? And then I'll frame that, right? And then we go here. I'm going to divide this a couple times, and then we're going to go alpha, and then we're just going to make grab doc there. Did I do it right? Yes. Then we can go to that sphere that we were testing on before, and look at that. We got that crazy pattern that you wanted. That's pretty pog. I don't know if I want to do, I want to tell this maybe less. Look at that. Pretty neat, right? There it is. Those are neatly sized bread slices. There you go. You're fucking awesome. No worries. Yeah. So that about covers it for today. I think I covered everything that I wanted to. So that'll be it for the workshop VOD. I'll hang out with you guys for a few more minutes. But next week we will not have a workshop because I'm going to be doing a game jam. So that'll give you everyone 2 weeks in order to continue refining their sculpts, and then we can start getting into the low poly in 2 weeks, which should be fun, and we can start getting that done. And then yeah, so we'll spend 1 week on Retopo, maybe 2 weeks on Retopo, and then we'll spend 1 week on UVs, and then we're gonna move on to texturing, and then it's rigging, animation, and game implementation. All right, I'm gonna end the VOD right now. So any VOD watchers, until next time, have a good one.